What up, YouTube? Topaz Yates back for another mixtape review, and this one is to that Dreamville D-Day at Gangsta Grill's mixtape. But before we jump into the review for this, first I gotta offer you context. First I gotta let you know everything going into my mind leading up to this, so you know how I feel about listening to this. But if you feel as though you know everything there is to know about Dreamville, feel free to fast forward to this point here. But I'm sure everybody by this point knows who Dreamville is. This is the record label being pieced together and promoted out there by J. Cole under Interscope Records. Thing that is most interesting about this is right when you think that the mixtape is dead, out comes this surprise project. Honestly, I thought it was an April Fool's thing when I heard it that it was going to drop at 7 p.m. today, but it really did. And as I look at it, it's under the Interscope deal. And I hope that J. Cole is being careful here, because that's how they got Meek Mill to be dropping music that they didn't pay him for with Dream Chasers 4. The last time we got a Dreamville project, it was the Revenge of the Dreamers 3, as that came with footage of Tree Sound Studios of a 10-day event where they was just filming everything so that they can make this music. Now, that was a next level event, but yet it didn't yield the classic musically that I know that they desired, that they wanted. And really, that's the issue with massive compilations like this. There's so many different personalities on top of these productions that it's almost impossible to keep people on one accord or getting the best out of everyone or getting the best project possible. So with this, what could be the last mainstream mixtape, I would say, because it looks as though the industry has been moving away from this, I will have to say that the mixtape is not going out with a bang, more of a whimper, a strong whimper, but a whimper nonetheless. See, this project has every issue that mixtapes never perfected as a whole over the whole time period that this was a thing. And all of these issues is really what took away the potential greatness. Like, it was always good for promotion, it was good for flooding the market, it was good for letting people know that you still working and you got some stuff, but it was never much for like great caliber albums. Now, there were a bunch of interesting moments off this project, but there was nothing on here that I couldn't live without. And yes, I know all you J. Cole fans are going to say, man, but this is like way better than the average music that you're getting from most people, and you are right. But therein lies the problem. I hold these artists to a higher regard than the typical average artist in the mainstream. See, it's hard not to expect greatness from these acts who individually has shown their potential up until this point. All of them have shown that they can put out quality stuff. But yet when they come together to do Revenge of the Dreamers and now this mixtape, possibly series, it doesn't quite pan out that way. But let's go ahead and look at some individual tracks off this project, man, starting with that Coming Down with Ari Lennox on there, where this is the Going Down new age rendition of Rolls Royce's I'm Going Down, the Car Wash soundtrack joint, but that was remade by Mary J. Blige. And you know, with that kind of history, can this song ever really live up to it, or is it just going to be a mixtape rendition? And I will tell you, it's hard to follow MJB. But I do like the hip-hop twist of the new age style that they putting on here, with the lyrics especially, where she's talking about Pucks and Zans is changing a man and it's ruining the relationship as they're coming down from the high of it. Like, that was a solid rendition, a solid extension of what this track was ultimately all about from the beginning. But this was a classic song in two different generations, and I don't think this variation of it is going to live up to that. The next song I want to talk about is Hair Salon by Cars, featuring G Perigo and Reason. And shout out to G Perigo, who I reviewed one of his earliest, if not his first project, The Enterprise, and he's still out here doing work, he's still dropping projects rather consistently, as this song is clearly the West Coast song placement on the album. And I love the vibe, as the basic concept is how their names is circulating in the hair salons, but mostly these individuals are just spitting here, and I think there's plenty room for improvement from the production to the verses, but overall, man, I think it's a solid vibe for this project. The next song I want to talk about is that Ballin' in Newport, where this is Omen doing some storytelling about the upbringing of his life, as it just feels like a solid audio biography on a quality beat. Definitely enjoyed this. First verse is talking about him as a kid when he catches the vibe, all the way up to him moving out on his own, chasing the dream, while he's mentioning things like his father got shot on stage while he was a singer. While the second verse, he's talking about living in these current times with the current mentality that he have. Solid song. one of the best off of this. But as I said, man, there are definitely some core issues on this that carried over on your typical mixtapes. For example, these freestyle tracks and this instrumental freestyle that was on there, as these are things that I kinda was hoping would die off. Originality is really what it all is about. 1. 2, when Mac Miller got sued for using an instrumental, as he gave up some guap on that. We don't know exactly how much, but he paid them off for this. When that happened, I was hoping people would go ahead and lean more into just being straight up original all the way. And then you got the Heavens EP song, Finally Finding a Home, which is dope. I mean, I didn't have that on my playlist, but it is an old song, and this is what always happened on mixtapes. Like, they would take old songs from other places and just throw it on there because they got gaps to fill. And that's something that gets annoying, especially when you got people like Pastor Troy, who's going to do that with the same songs over and over and over. Another thing that I wish would die off. But overall, project was cool. Not anything amazing. It was fine. But you know we can't conclude this review without talking about the bars. The best part about mixtapes would usually be the bars. And it's because you get a whole collection of different types of lyricists and different types of musicians that you know for a fact if you're going to put out a mixtape, lyricism kinda had to be a part of it. And with that in mind, people usually come with the very best regardless of if they were a quality artist or not. And this project was no different, as we're getting a bunch of quality joints on here, like say repping more shooters than Rich Paul's Agency. You can kinda guess who said that one. In fact, I'm not going to tell you who are the ones who wrote these bars. I want you to look it up and to tell me who did it. But there was another bar in there that I felt was very good too. They move fishy when they try to up the streams. Like, ooh, that was solid. Talk about how salmon and all that stuff like to move upstream, but yet when people try to pump up the streams, they try to move in a funny way. I like it. And the last bar I want to look at was, with a little pump, you get smoked like pump. Like, and you know, I usually don't list the name drop bars, but that one was actually kind of decent. Overall, as a mixtape, I will say this was an above average one that I've dealt with over the years of my life, that I kind of cut my teeth with going into mixtapes, you dig? With this possibly being one of the last ones to get on this accord of recognition that's openly saying that it's a mixtape, because now it's time to really get paid for them. I would say it wasn't bad, but it had all of the issues that all of the mixtapes had, so therefore it wasn't phenomenal either. It was a cool project that I definitely recommend people to go ahead and peep out. I give this one a 6 out of 10 with a lot of things in there that you can definitely find enjoyment with.